You know what? It's Saturday, meaning I get to spend time with my project, which is the 964 challenge. Me trying to build the fastest Porsche 964 that I ever can. Last time we figured out the cockpit, how to sit, how to steer, how to brake, how to control all these things. I think it turned out really, really well. I'm really stoked about it. This time we're going to put the power plant back together. And for those of you that watched the first episode when I took it apart, you know that I had a little bit of issue on cylinder 1. And it's been diagnosed, and I know there's many different theories about what happened. I will never know which one is the right one. My assessment is that I had too much pre-ignition, meaning the engine was running much hotter than what it was supposed to, and this is consistent with what I see in my logs and so on. And finally, one of the pistons gave way. I'll never know exactly what happened. What I do know is that that is all in the past, and it's time to look forward, time to put this together. Let's have a look at that. For those of you that has built one of these engines before, you'll know that it is quite a logistical challenge to get this right. And the challenge is that it's so many different parts, and all of them need to be prepped in their certain way, and it's procedures that take quite a long time. I've done some of it already. The rest of it I'm going to show you how to do, or I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm not an expert on this by any means, but I'm happy to share what I know. So I put some of the parts out here. We can see we got the camshaft, we got my new rockers in there. This is the new cam housing that I'm going to use from a 993. This is my old one from a 964. Here's the engine, eagerly waiting for new pistons and cylinders. Over here we have what is going to be the new refurbished set of heads with the washers, the different washers, the spring with titanium retainers, the 993 RS valves. Over here is something very delicious. Look at this. A set of brand new Allen Engineering 102 millimeters. Looking mighty fine. And here, Mahle Motorsport high compression pistons that look extremely nice. Coated, of course. High compression pistons as well. I decided that since I was going to change one piston, and apparently it is extremely difficult, almost impossible to get a hold of pistons and cylinders, I ended up buying a brand new set. Jan Mertens, he helped me out. It was extremely difficult to get a hold of. The original ones, or the ones I had previously on the engine here, which was also a 102 millimeter 3.8 liter, I just simply couldn't get a hold of them. So Jan Mertens helped me out, got another complete fresh new set in. Let's get that onto the engine. Cylinder heads is maybe the most logistically challenging part, especially if you want to do some good work with this, if you want to like change valve guides or maybe port them or something like this. It's so many different people that need to like do something to get it done, at least the way that I do it. I'm going to take them apart, I'm going to clean them, I'm going to lap in the valves to make sure everything is okay, and then just change the seals. That's all what I'm going to do, and I'm also going to validate the tension of the springs since I'm putting some new goodies into the engine here. I wanted to show you how this is disassembled. I purposely picked cylinder number 3, and the reason for that is cylinder number 3 has a temp sensor on the side here. And this one is very difficult to take off because it has a cable here that is molded in both sides, right? And what you have to do is you have to take a long socket 14 and then grind a slot in it like this. I'm sure Porsche has a tool for it, but this is what I came up with. So you take this one, you put it onto it like that. And then you get it off. So that was a number 14 socket. It needs to be a long one, and you need to kill it so that it works for this. These are expensive, so you don't want to cut these. And if you cut it, you can't you can't put a new one on without doing this. So we have the temp sensor off. Next little piece is to take the valves off. I use one of these. There's different tools for this. Every other tool except this one pretty much blows, but this one is fantastic. You just put it on like this, and without any force at all, you just lift the washer on this side. Then you take a little magnet, and you take the little half moon retainers. Can you see that? Yeah, the half moon small little retainers. You take those off using a magnet. That's what I do. And then you take this one back. And then we take the inner and outer springs. These are Schrick high spring rate springs. These are also Schrick titanium retainers. You will not be able to build a high revving engine without increasing your spring rate and bringing down the weight of the valve train. So this is the valve. It looks nice. It's a lot of carbonization on it. I know I was running my engine very, very rich, and this was because my engine was running hot and I was trying to fix it with putting more fuel into it. That doesn't work very well. Or it works very well, but it didn't work well for my engine. You have a little seat washer in the bottom like this, and then you have distance washers that stack up to build the right pretension on the spring. So I calculated when I built this engine how much that should be, and I think I did it the right way. Take the second one. This tool is really awesome. I used to have one of these big, like a big tong that you used, and it was very scary every time you used it. This one is not the least scary. Okay, good, got that apart. Release the tension here. Yeah, a lot of carbonization. My engine was running very rich. And there is no one to blame for that except myself, right? So, got that out. The next one is to take the seals out. And I'm sure there is a good procedure for this. This is what I've done. If you take gently and just wiggle it back and forth, yeah, you get it off without damaging the seal guide. A little bit of patience. There we go. And there we go, we got the head. Everything is off it. I have a spark plug there. And everything is okay here. The valve seats, they seem okay. I'm just gonna lap them very, very gently. If you look also, here's another cool thing in my heads. I have the 993 valve guides in mine, and I have CNC ported my head, so it's a beautiful port job there. Really nice. These need to go off for cleaning before I can assemble them again. While the heads are waiting for their chance to get cleaned, I'm gonna put the cylinders together with the pistons and put them on the engine. Again, Mahle Motorsport looking really nice. I measured all 6 of them. They were exactly the same at 479 grams, without rings, without the pin. They're coated, so some kind of anti-friction coating there, supposed to do goodies. 12 in compression ratio, so I will not be able to use standard pump gas. I'll have to use the one that is 1 grade above. When you get these, you get a set of rings. This happens to be the oil ring, and these rings, you should confirm that they have the right gap towards the end. See if you can see that. The way that you do this is simply by taking this ring, putting it into the cylinder. So I've oiled this up a little bit, and this is the oil ring, so this one is very easy to put in. You put that in, and I'm going to use an old piston here just to push it down. It's supposed to go down 1 inch. Right, we have it there. And according to the manual, the oil ring should have minimum just below 0.4 millimeters, which is this one. So we're gonna see what it has. So I'm gonna take this one, I'm gonna see if I can stick it in there. I can't. Right, so I'm gonna figure out what it is. So I can squeeze in 0.3 in there, which is too tight. It's supposed to be just below 0.4. So I'm going to take the ring out very carefully here. Okay, so we need to figure out how to make this little gap a little bit smaller. Some people, they put a file in between and they kind of go like this. If you do that, you'll destroy the ring. Instead, I'm going to use one of these. Right, so this one, if you hold this one in the correct way, it makes sure that the cut is perpendicular. So let's see, top is there. You hold it like so. Okay, nice little cut. It's very easy with the oil rings to put them in because they're quite soft. It's much worse with the others. See, so let's see if we got it up to 0.35. Yeah, it's up to 0.35 and we're supposed to just be able to get 0.4 in. Yep, I think we are there. And then you're supposed to gently oil the ring a little bit. I'm just following, I'm not making stuff up here, I'm just following what it said in the instruction here. Hoping that the instruction is correct, that would be really cool. I've done this before and it shouldn't be anything really different than that. Okay, so we put the ring on. First we put the spring on. Top. Okay, so we got the oil ring on. Moving on to the next compression ring, which is the one in the middle here. It looks like this. It has a little groove on the side and then it has a little mark here that says that this is towards the top. And these are typically very difficult to get in here with confidence. And this is aluminum with this nickel coating, so it's very strong, but you really don't want to damage this. So yeah, I'm gonna do a little bit of thinking here how I do this without damaging anything. So the challenge I have is that this compression ring, this is the second compression ring from the top. To squeeze that in by hand into this barrel here, I'm worried that I'm going to scratch it and I don't want to do this. It's expensive stuff, right? So what I came up with was just a little printed taper that kind of latches on there using these little ears there. This one has a taper. So when I now take this compression ring and I put it in here, I can actually squeeze it in this way without kind of damaging it. And then what I did to make it even easier was I created a plunger here. So this one is designed so that as I push this one down, it gets to the exact measurement depth. Then I can take that up and now I can measure exactly what I have here. So let's see, I'm gonna guess 0.4. Yeah, it seems like 0.4 is it. And according to the specification, I should have 0.6. Wow. So I need to scrape this ring up quite a lot. Last little attempt. Let's see if we got it this time. Okay, it's just a tiny bit tight. Okay, so take 3. There we go. And we should have just about above 0.6. 0.6 is fine. 0.65 is just a little bit tight. So, there we go. This one is done. Let's get this one out. And we put this one onto the piston. Okay, so let's put this one on opposite to the oiler ring. Okay, good. So we got 2 out of the 3 rings on it now. And it goes on like this for a while, taking off a little bit, checking that it's okay. If it's not okay, you take off a little bit more, and you go back and forth until you get that really good gap that you're supposed to have. Another thing I started looking into a little bit here is also the oil channeling of this piston. You see, there's 2 little holes there, and if you look at the inside, those 2 holes are mirrored there on the inside, of course. The way that this works is that the oil will actually shoot from the inside of the block into the bottom of the piston here, splashing oil all over, and that will then shoot out through those rings by splashing and all those phenomenons, right? And that will lubricate the outside of the piston. It will also lubricate the wrist pin up here, and that's what we're gonna do now. The wrist pin on these is a floating concept, which means this one actually floats back and forth like this as this one is operating. And what keeps it in place is a small little spring on each side, a locking ring that holds it in place. And what we're going to do now is we're going to install one of these on the table. The other one we can only install once the piston is in the car. So I'm going to show you how I do this. Okay, so there's of course many different ways of doing this. It is painful getting these in because they're so stiff. The idea is one of them goes in now and the other one goes in once this one sits on the connecting rod, right? So what I have done is I created a little template here that just sits like that and intersects there, a little template like that. This allows me to put the piston down like this so that it stands firmly here and I'm not going to damage it in any way. Once I've done that, I can actually take the wrist pin and I put it in here, right, like that. See that I have it, okay. So now that I have that one in there, and here's the tricky part, this is black, right, it's some kind of coating, and preferably you would like to damage this as little as really possible. And you see these YouTube clips where they just push these in with your fingers. They're all fake. It doesn't work like that. Of course it does, but I've never managed to do it like that. So if you take a small little plier like this one here, and the trick is that you want to grab this one so that you want to grab it so that when you push it in, the plier fits exactly in this little slot that you have there that is there to demount it. Once you manage to do it like that, this becomes really super easy. And you're really only pushing the ring in the direction that it's supposed to go. So this is all dandy, all nice. Oh. Okay, I got it in. I did get it in, I did get a little mark there. It's just on the outside coating, it has absolutely no significance whatsoever. It is quite a good feeling when you manage to snap it in and you don't get any marks at all. And then time to assemble this. What I use is a little bit of assembly lube on surfaces like the surface here for the wrist pin. So I'm going to take just a little bit of this and put there and put there, smear it around a little bit. Then I'm going to put a little bit in the connecting rod. This one gently in there. Okay, so that it's just seated in there. Then we're going to now assemble the piston into this barrel. So what I do is I just oil it up first a little bit. I wish I was wearing gloves doing this, but yeah, I missed that today. Sorry for that. Then I have borrowed from my good friend Martin a really cool tool here. I'm supposed to be able to put the piston into this guy. Gently, gently. With and around all the rings. Okay, so this thing clamps around, pushes the rings in. I'm leaving just a little bit outside of it so that I can put it down like that. Intake valve is there, top of the cylinder is here. So let's give it a go. And I should be able to just push this in now. Okay, I actually got it in there. Let's see. Yep, feels good. Just gonna pull the piston up so that the pin is just out, because that's what I need for the next step. Okay, and we're ready to put cylinder number 1 in. I've assembled 3 of them. We're going to start from here, take the next one and take the third one. Before that, we're going to look a little bit at the sealing concept here. Original 964 concept has a small little O-ring just down here, very small. As they went to the 3.8 liters, this diameter here became a little bit bigger to make it a little bit stiffer, a little bit stronger. Then this area here became even smaller, so even more difficult. Then they moved the seal up to here. So the factory 3.8s, as far as I know, they had the O-ring up here. And you can see this in my block, because what I've done with this block on the previous rebuild was to bore up these 3 from 107 millimeters to 109 millimeters, inserting a radial O-ring groove there, putting an O-ring in. So I have 3 new fresh O-rings there now. So we'll look at it. See, that's how it looks. See, there sits an O-ring in there. Right, and this helps with making this sealed, even if that area has become a little bit better. It's a better sealing technique as well, because I believe these cylinders, they actually do move a little bit as the engine becomes hot, cold, and so on. With this kind of seal, it's a much safer seal. So let's start with cylinder number 1. Okay, so here we got number 1. They're all the same, so it doesn't matter, but I like to be tidy. Making sure that this one is towards the top of the engine. Yep. Okay, we got the cylinder in there. And here comes the next piece. And the reason why I've kind of plugged everything up here, that is putting the retaining ring in. This is possibly one of the worst things with building these engines. Wow, it was really difficult getting the circlip in on this one, and I ended up scratching the coating a little bit on the outside here. It's just a coating on the outside that has no contact with anything, so it doesn't matter, but yeah, that was a little bit of a pity. Anyway, this one is in now. And here we go. And I made a little holding device here. It's just a plastic little screw that makes sure that if you're actually turning the cylinder out and in, that the cylinder simply doesn't fall over, right? There's these available to buy all over the place. It's just an M10 nut with a washer, but you can do it like this, and it's cheaper than buying these special tools. So number 1 is in, good. Let's move on to number 2, shall we? And here we are, voila, got the first 3 cylinders in. It is a little bit of a struggle, as you can see. It's many steps to go through. You have to be precise and careful all as you do them, so you don't miss any piece and get a ring gap too tight or something like that. That can be really detrimental for your engine. So it takes a while to do this. Getting the circlips in is really difficult. There is a tool for it that you can use. I tried to actually make my own little one of that. It didn't work at all. So that's something that I'm going to improve for the next time I do this. I'm going to buy this little cylindric tool that makes it even simpler. It is in here, and like any good cooking show, I have already taken care of the other side. So we're completely done here. My initial plan was to build the entire engine in one episode. That's not going to work, so I renamed the episode from Power Plant to Pistons and Barrels. Meaning next time we're going to look at the heads and get that done, build the valve train and so on. Thanks for watching today. If you haven't already subscribed, you've missed something and I'm very disappointed at you, so please do that. If not, thank you very much for today.